Alrighty, so on page 30, we see that Willie is talking to his boys, and he's kind of giving this impression that if you are liked, right, then you will be successful, you will be respected. In some regard, I feel that being liked is important, but it isn't everything, right? You can be liked, but if you're lazy and you don't take your job seriously, then being liked is not going to help you. Makes sense? So I agree in a way that it's a factor. People have to like you. You have to be approachable, likable, charismatic, nice, kind, empathetic. Those are all important. But as a standalone characteristic in a person, and to say, like, if they like you can get away with anything, I don't think so. Right. And that is what Willie tries to communicate. Right. So, Willie, at the top of page 31, he is explaining to his boys that he met the mayor of Providence, right? Which he tells us at the bottom of page 30. And so you can see that he's kind of showing off to his kids, like, oh, yeah, I met him. I saw him, right? He was sitting in the hotel lobby. And le preguntan, right? Pues, ¿qué te dijo? Los hijos bien emocionados, como que, wow, my dad met Kobe Bryant, right? And so, pues, a ver, ¿qué platicaron? ¿Qué pasó? So Willie's like, no, well, he told me good morning. And I told him, like, you have a fine city here, Mayor. And then he had coffee with me. And then I went to Waterbury, and he says that Waterbury is a fine city. It's the big clock city, the famous Waterbury clock. Sold a nice bill there. And then Boston. Boston is the cradle of the Revolution, a fine city. And then a couple of other towns in Massachusetts, and on to Portland and Bangor, and then straight home. Right. So we can see here Willie kind of detailing to his kids, these are the places that I've been. This is what I've done. And Biff says, gee, I'd love to go with you sometime, Dad. Soon as summer comes. And Happy's like, promise, como que nadie invitó a Happy. Pero ya se apuntó, right? He's like, yo también quiero ir, right? Promise que me vas a llevar. Willie says, you and Hap and I, and I'll show you all the towns. America's full of beautiful towns and fine, upstanding people. And they know me, boys. They know me up and down New England. The finest people. And when I bring you fellas up there, there'll be open sesame for all of us. Because one thing, boys, I have friends. I can park my car in any street in New England, and the cops protect it like their own. So this summer, huh? So again, we see here Willie is making his attempt to look good in front of his kids. That's kind of embarrassing and cringy, and we'll make note of that up here, right? Willie is trying to make himself look successful, right? He wants to be or look well liked. And so he lies to his sons about his stature, right, in the world of salesmen. It's not true. I'm telling you right now, he's lying. Those things are not true. Nobody sits there y te hace tanto guato, Willie. Okay. Now share with the person next to you, why do you think Willie is trying to make himself look successful in front of his kids? ¿Por qué tú crees que él hace eso? All right, let's go ahead and regroup. Can I get any volunteers to share? Why do you think he does this? Go ahead, Jordan. Inspire his sons. Ooh, I love that. To inspire his sons. Anybody else? Why else do this? Go ahead, Sanchez. Absolutely, right? There's definitely the sense of embarrassment for not, being a successful salesman. Now, remember that this is in the past. So this is when they're young. We know now because we started the story when they were older, 10 years later, we know, or 15 years later, we know that Willie is not a successful salesman. We know que está batallando, right? Like a salesman. Pero sí, él está mintiendo, right? Biff and Happy together say, yeah, you bet. Willie's like, we'll take our bathing suits. Happy says, we'll even carry your bags, Pop, right? So bien servicial aquí, Happy, right? Trying to kind of win over his dad. I'll carry your bags. I'll wash the car. I'll do whatever you want me to do. I just want to be recognized, right? Pobrecito Happy. And Willie's like, oh, en lugar de decir, no, mijito, ¿cómo crees? Yo soy el papá. I will carry my bags and you guys go in with me or you guys, go with me, but you don't have to carry my bags, Happy. Like, ni que fueras qué o qué. No, Willie le contesta, oh, won't that be something? Me coming into the Boston stores with you boys carrying my bags? What a sensation. And so Willie really annoys me here, right? This is representing his longing for recognition, for respect, for validation, but at the hands of who? His sons? Good morning. He did not. Yes. Thank you. So again, right? He's like, wow. No, no es de que, ay, quiero que conozcan a mis hijos, están bien grandes. No, quiero que los miren, están bien guapos ustedes. Oh, I want you guys to see what I do at work. No, imagine if you went to work with me and they saw you carrying my bags, right? Share with the person next to you. What do you think about Willie's response to this? So, one thing is for sure at home, Willie wants to make the impression with his family, right? That he is a great salesman. So en la casa, él va y platica y dice, no, que mira que fui a Providence y I saw the mayor, right? Me invitó un cafecito, yo le dije, oye, your town, todo está bien padre aquí. I love Charo Days, I love the way you guys set this up. I mean, we're friends, we had coffee, todo, no, mira, hasta ni me dejan estacionar mi carro, right? So se levanta el cuello él en su casa so that his sons can see him, right? As this like, wow, salesman. But then what is obvious here, and that's that at work, he does the same thing, right? He wants to create the impression that he is a great father. Look at the way my kids treat me. Look at the way my kids cater to me, right? Yo soy como un Dios para mis hijos. So I don't know, but something's going on with Willie here. And then Biff is prancing around, practicing passing the ball. And Willie says, are you nervous, Biff, about the game? Not if you're going to be there. What do they say about you in school, Biff, now that they made you captain? There's a crowd of girls behind him every time the classes change, right? So we see here, okay, in the margins, we'll write our little recap. So Biff is now football captain. And then up top, we'll go ahead and write Willie plans to bring boys, right, with him to work. Está bien animado, right? Quiere que todos miren que sus hijos, right, lo admiran, lo adoran como padre. And then at the very top, we'll just kind of write our just statement for what is happening in this particular page. And we're going to just write here, Willie talks about his travels, what he does, what he wants. So there is a game, a football game. They've made him captain, and we know that all the girls are around, excuse me, Biff. So Biff taking Willie's hand, right? So this gesture here, he takes Willie's hand. He says, "This Saturday, Pop, this Saturday, just for you, I'm going to break through for a touchdown." Happy's like, "Dude, you're supposed to pass the ball. You're not even supposed to be doing that." Pero está bueno. Biff says, "I'm taking one play for Pop. You watch me, Pop. And when I take off my helmet, that means I'm breaking out. Then you watch me crash through that line." So I don't really understand too much how I mean, I feel like I know how football works, but are you supposed to take off your helmet and then crash through the line? Share with your neighbor if you have any knowledge of football. Is that safe? Está loco. So let me ask you, why do you think Biff wants to do this? He wants to demonstrate, right? Like, "Soy bien pregón yo," right? For lack of a better word. "No, hombre, I'm going to take off the helmet," right? Van a ver. And that's going to be for you, Pop. So what is Biff trying to do here, right? Igual, trying to create an impression for his father. Very weird dynamic. Willie kisses Biff, and look at what he says. "Oh, wait till I tell this in Boston." Tell who in Boston? At work, his friends. "Hey, ¿sabes qué? Mi hijo, no, hombre. He's the captain of the football team. There's a big game. Yep, he's going to make a touchdown just for me." So, what is he trying to do with the people at work? Again, right? He's trying to lift himself as a great father. Me da bastante pena ajena, Willie. La verdad, pobrecito. Bernard enters in knickers, so in sneakers, right? Bernard is younger than Biff. He's earnest and loyal and a worried boy, right? So we have a new character here, Bernard. Okay, he is younger than Biff, earnest, loyal, and a worried boy, right? So we have a new character here, Bernard. So Bernard says, "Biff, where are you? You're supposed to study with me today." "Hey, look at Bernard. Why are you looking so anemic about, Bernard?" "He's got to study, Uncle Willie. He's got Regents next week." Now, Regents, in your words, is a star exam. Okay. So Bernard anda bien preocupado porque he's supposed to be studying with Biff, and pues I don't think Biff is studying. And so Happy is taunting Bernard and starts spinning him around. You see, when I think of Bernard, I think of like Steve Urkel. You know who Steve Urkel is? Screech from Saved by the Bell. Do you know who Screech is from Saved by the Bell? Um, um, let me try to think of another. Wow. I don't know. I don't have another comparison. Okay, imagine like a dork. Think I'm not gonna use students in the cohort, but if I had to, I'm just kidding. No. Um, think of like a real smart kid, real dorky, real scrawny, right? And then you have the bigger kids kind of like bullying him, right? So you have Happy spinning him around, and Bernard's like, with his glasses, todo tonto, right? Like, déjenme, yo nomás quiero estudiar matemáticas, right? So he that's what Happy's doing, and he tells him, "Let's box, Bernard." Pero, o sea, el niño está bien flaquito, right? Real scrawny. You'll see him in the movie. Happy se está bañando con Bernard. So Bernard's like, "Biff." And so he gets away from Happy and he says, "Listen, Biff, I heard Mr. Birnbaum say that if you don't start studying math, he's going to flunk you and you will not graduate. I heard him." And Willie's like, well, you better go study with him, Biff. Go ahead now. I heard him. Biff says, oh, Pop, didn't you see my sneakers? And what does he do? He holds up a foot for Willie to look at, right? So the sneakers. This here is a really important prop. Now, Willie says, oh, that's a beautiful job of printing. Bernard is wiping his glasses and he's like, just because he printed University of Virginia on his sneakers doesn't mean they got to graduate him, Uncle Willie. So, what do we see in the sneakers? We see that the sneakers have printed on them, right, the University of Virginia. So, lo que está dando a entender Biff es, ¿cómo quieres que estudie? ¿No viste mis zapatos? You don't see me on Fridays wearing my UT shirt, Miss Lara? You think I'm going to fail? You didn't see me practice at college signing day, the university I'm going to announce, and you think I'm going to fail? Like, that's literally what Biff is doing, right? And so you see that he holds up that one foot for Willie to see, right? Like, and I love, ¿qué le dice Bernard? No, porque trae la camisa los viernes del colegio, significa que vas a ir al colegio, right? And so I don't think Willie likes this very much. And so on the next page, it says that Willie gets angry. And he's like, what are you talking about? With scholarships to 3 universities, they're going to flunk him? And Bernard's like, but I heard Mr. Birnbaum say, don't be a pest, Bernard. What an anemic. And so the word pest is basically used to describe an annoying person. ¿Y qué dice, right? He has scholarships to 3 universities. You really think Ms. Lara is going to fail him? 3 universities already gave him a scholarship, and he's wearing the shirt on Fridays. And Bernard's like, okay, I'm going to wait for you at my house, Biff. And then Bernard goes off, and then the Lomans, what do? They laugh, right? Are they taking this serious? Does it look like Willie cares about his son's education? I feel like he cares about his education, but he doesn't care to push his son to try hard. Okay. Share with the person next to you. What are your thoughts on this interaction with Bernard and the way that Willie handled it? What are your thoughts? All right. We're going to write here on page 32. Willie insults Bernard. Now, what happens cuando está insultando a Bernard, right? Él como sin querer queriendo les está diciendo a sus hijos que eso está bien, que eso es apropiado, que pueden ellos insultar a otras personas cuando las personas están diciendo algo que no te gusta. And is that the right way to do stuff? That's a horrible defense mechanism. Just because you don't like the way somebody is telling you something, just because you don't like when someone is telling you something, doesn't mean you get to insult them. Right? And so what does he do? He calls him an anemic. He basically says, estás desnutrido. Desnutrido. I hope I spelled that right. Estás todo flaco. Yo a mis hijos les compré punching bag. Right? Este niño flaco que quiere estudiar matemáticas. Right? And so we see here as well, right? Excuse me, that you know, Biff has to study for math. You think Biff is going to study for math for that test? Do you think Biff is going to flunk math? I mean, you know how the story started. Did Biff do anything with his life? He didn't. He was popular in school, captain of the football team, a leader. All the girls liked him. And what did that get him? Nowhere, right? Let's go ahead and write our gist statement at the top of page 32. Bernard says Biff has to study for math. Now you have to remember that this flashback that we are experiencing We're looking at it from the mind of Willie Loman. Why do you think Willie Loman is thinking about this moment? Share with the person next to you. Why do you think he's thinking about it? Can we agree that there's some sort of regret? You ever do that? You go back and you think of a moment and you replay it in your mind and you're like, man, I wish I would have done that differently. There's a sense of regret here with Willie. That's why he's thinking about this moment, right? That math class. Let's continue. Now, excuse me, on page 33, right? Bernard leaves and the Lomans laugh, right? Se burlan de Bernard, right? Like, ese loco, ese tonto. Excuse me. And then Willie, look at what Willie says. Willie's like, Bernard nadie lo quiere, ¿verdad? Está todo chapas ese niño. He's not well liked, is he? And Biff's like, he's liked, but not well liked. You happy? That's right, Pop. Pobrecito. I just want to give Happy a big hug and say, like, just stop trying, bro, right? And Willie's like, well, that's just what I mean. Bernard can get the best grades in school, you understand? But when he gets out in the business world, you understand, you're going to be 5 times ahead of him. That's why I thank God Almighty that you're both built like Adonis is, because the man who makes an appearance in the business world, the man who creates personal interest, is the man who gets ahead. You see, if you are liked, you will never want. Take me, for instance. I never have to wait in line to see a buyer. Willie Loman is here. That's all they have to know. And I go right through. Did you knock them dead, Pop? Knocked him cold in Providence, slaughtered him in Boston. Happy on his back, pedaling again. I'm losing weight, Pop. You notice? Pobrecito. Okay. So, share with the person next to you. What are your thoughts on this here, right? On what Willie's philosophy of, being liked. ¿Qué piensas? Mm. Now he says you are both built like Adonis is. So go ahead and grab a post-it. I'm gonna kind of I'm gonna show you the post-it of the notes I already wrote, and then I'll give you about a minute or two to write it. So Adonis is basically a person in Greek mythology, right? He is a handsome young man. He was the lover of the goddess Aphrodite. Adonis is basically the name that you would give someone that you think is the epitome of like the hottest man alive, right? So physical attractiveness, physical appearances. Adonis was known for his exceptional beauty and because of how muscular he was. His this physique was meant to or said to have been perfect. Okay, now Aphrodite is the most beautiful goddess, and so I'm not surprised that Adonis was the lover of the most beautiful girl because he is the most beautiful man. And so we see that Willie believes, right, that having this physical appearance is what's going to open doors for his sons, right? He sees it as an advantage that his sons have. Like, no, pero ustedes están bien buenotes. Ustedes, no, you guys are going to make it big in the business world. But again, right, that's not the way it works. Pero así crecieron ellos pensando. Okay, I'll give you about 1 minute to write down the notes and then we'll continue. Go ahead and write down there that this is a Greek allusion. Not in the post-it necessarily, but here, right? Greek allusion. And then we're going to go ahead and write our gist statement at the very top. And we're going to put here, Willie says Bernard will not make it. Bernard will not make it in life. We see here at the bottom, Happy again, trying to get his dad's attention. I'm losing weight, Pop, you notice? I'm losing weight, Pop, you notice? Pobrecito Happy, nadie le hace caso. Now, the text says here that Linda enters as of old with a ribbon in her hair, carrying a basket of washing, right? So, excuse me, Linda with youthful energy. Hello, dear. Sweetheart, how'd the Chevy run? Chevrolet, Linda, is the greatest car ever built. And then he tells the boy, since when do you let your mom carry the wash upstairs? Grab hold there, boy. Where to, Mom? Hang them up on the line, and you better go down to your friends, Biff. The cellar is full of boys. They don't know what to do with themselves. Biff, well, when Pop comes home, my friends have to wait. So there is a bunch of boys at the Loman house in the cellar, and they're literally just chilling. Okay? Willie laughs, right? And he's like, you better go down and tell those boys what to do, Biff. No saben qué hacer sin ti. Mira mi hijo, bien fregón mi hijo. Todos lo siguen. I think I'll have them sweep out the furnace room. Good work, Biff. So Biff goes through the wall line of the kitchen to the doorway at the back and calls down, hey, fellas, everybody, pónganse a barrer. Ahorita abajo. And all of the boys says, all right, okay, Biff. Right, so you get to see here, right, that Biff is, again, he is a leader. And he is well liked to the point that his friends go to his house and clean his home. Do you have any friends that go to your house and you make them clean? Share with the person next to you. Or are you the person that cleans your friend's house? Oye, pero aparte de que he's making them clean, ni les está poniendo atención. You notice that? Biff says, George and Sam and Frank, come out back. We're going to hang up the wash. Come here, Hap, on the double. And then they carry the basket. Linda, wow, look at the way they obey him. Le hacen los mandados a mi hijo. And Willie's like, así hay que entrenarlos. That's training. The training, I'm telling you. I was selling thousands and thousands, but I had to come back home. And Linda's like, you know the whole block is going to be at that game, right? And by the way, did you sell anything? And Willie's like, pues sí, I did 500 in, sorry, I'm changing mine. I did 500 in Providence and 700 in Boston. Linda's like, ¿a poco? Espérame. Let me grab a pencil. She gets the pencil and the paper, right, from her apron. And she's like, a ver, vamos a juntar aquí las notas y ver cuánto dinero agarraste. That makes your commission $212. My God. Willie's like, well, espérate tantito. Linda's like, a ver, how much did you do? Willie, well, you see, I did about 180 in Providence. No. It was more like 200 on the whole trip. So, primero dijo, right, que eran 500 in Providence, 700 en Boston y al último, ¿en qué quedó? 200. So, ¿qué estaba haciendo Willie? Estaba exagerando, right? He was pretending like he was making more money than what he actually was making. So Linda's like, okay, 200. Let's see how much commission. And Willie says, well, the trouble was that 3 of the stores were half closed for inventory in Boston. Otherwise, I would have broke records. So again, Willie lying to himself to make himself look successful, right? Making up excuses. No, no, la verdad, yo hubiera agarrado más dinero, pero las tiendas estaban cerradas. No fue mi culpa. So Linda's like, well, it makes $70 and some pennies. That's good, $70. Now tell the person next to you, $70 on a check to pay the bills and everything in the house. Is that going to cut it? That's not going to cut it, right? Linda's like, $70, that's very good. Willie says, what do we owe? Well, on the first, there's $16 for the fridge. So they're paying the fridge. Why 16? Well, the fan belt broke, so it was $1.80. But I just bought it. It's brand new. Well, the man said that's the way it is. You know, you buy something and then it breaks. They moved through the wall line into the kitchen. Willie, I hope we didn't get stuck on that machine. No, they had the biggest ads of any of them. Page 36. I know, it's a fine machine. Okay, what else do we owe? Well, there's 96 for the washing machine. And for the vacuum, there's $3.50 due on the 15th. And then the roof is $21. It's not leaking, right? No, they did a wonderful job. And then you owe Frank for the carburetor. I don't know if I'm saying that right. Willie's like, I'm not going to pay that man, that damn Chevrolet. They ought to prohibit the manufacture of that car. Well, you owe him $3.50 too. And with odds and end, everything comes around to $120. We need $120 by the 15th. How much money did Willie make though? 70. He made $70. And how much money do they need by the 15th? 120. ¿Les alcanza para los biles y la comida? ¿Y si se les ofrece algo? ¿Y el Starbucks? There's a new lavender line. ¿Y si necesitan desodorante, qué usan? ¿Limones? ¿Qué? I mean, literally, ¿qué van a hacer? What do? We don't have enough money. $120? My God. If business doesn't pick up, I don't know what I'm going to do. And Linda apoyándolo. Next week you'll do better. Oh, I'll knock them dead next week. I'll go to Hartford. I'm very well liked in Hartford. You know, and then look at the contradiction here. Sorry. And then look at the contradiction here. He's like, no, hombre, in Hartford, no, hombre, I'm very well liked. Ahí les caigo bien. But then look at what he says. You know, the trouble is, Linda, people don't seem to take to me. What does it mean? Share with the person next to you that people don't take to him. ¿Qué significa eso? They don't take to him. What does it mean, Ty? People don't approach him. People don't want to buy from him. So are you well liked? Not really. And I put here, right? Willie admits that he isn't well liked. They move on the 4th stage. Oh, Willie, no digas eso. Don't be foolish. I know, Linda. I know it when I walk in. They seem to laugh at me. Se burlan de él. But why, honey? Why would they laugh at you? Don't talk that way, Willie. Willie moves to the edge of the stage and Linda goes into the kitchen and starts to darn stockings. I don't know the reason for it, but they just pass me by. I'm not noticed. I think this is the first time that Willie's actually being honest. He's like, you know what? They don't like me. Like, ¿pa qué te digo que sí, sí, no? They don't like me. Linda's like, but you're doing wonderful, dear. You're making $70 to $100 a week. And you got to know this for the quiz, right? If I ask you, how much is he making a week? $70 to $100 a week. Ahí te dicen. She's like, no, sorry, let me put this down a little bit. No digas eso, right? Willie's like, pues yeah, I'm making $70 to $100 a week, but I got to be at it 10, 12 hours a day. You see, other men, I don't know how they do it, but it's easier for them. I don't know why. I can't stop myself, Linda. I talk too much. A man ought to come in with a few words, pero yo hablo mucho. One thing about Charlie, he's a man of few words and they respect him. Charlie is his neighbor and Charlie is Bernard's father. And Willie is saying, and I know I don't have it written down there, but go ahead and write it down. Charlie is the neighbor, and Charlie is Bernard's dad. And Willie is saying, la gente respeta a Charlie. They don't respect me. And he says they don't respect him because he talks too much. Share with the person next to you, what are your thoughts on that philosophy? Que entre menos digas, mejor te ves. El que dice mucho, atrae mucha atención. What are your thoughts on that? Have you seen that like quote that says something along the lines of like the foolish person has a lot to say, but the smart person listens, something like that. Linda says, you don't talk too much, you're just lively. And Willie's smiling, well, I figured, what the hell, life is short, a couple of jokes. And then así mismo se dice, man, hombre, I'm joking too much. Why? I'm fat. I'm very foolish to look at, Linda. I didn't tell you, but around Christmas time, I happened to be calling one of the FH stewards. And the salesman that I know, as I was going to go in to see the buyer, I heard him say something about a walrus. And I cracked him right in the face. I don't take that. I simply will not take that. But they do laugh at me. I know that. Darling, I got to overcome it. I know I got to overcome it. I'm not dressing to advantage, maybe. Willie, darling, you're the handsomest man in the world. Oh, no, I'm not, Linda. To me, you are the most handsome. From the darkness is heard the laughter of a woman. Willie doesn't turn around to that sound, but it continues over Linda's lines. And the boys, Willie, few men are idolized by their children the way that you are. Music is heard as behind a scrim to the left of the house, the woman, dimly seen, is dressing. Willie, with great feeling, you're the best, Linda. You're a pal, you know that? On the road, I just want to grab you sometimes and kiss the life out of you. The laughter of the woman is louder now, and he moves into a brightening area at the left where the woman has come from behind the scrim and is standing, putting on her hat, looking into the mirror and laughing. Ha, ha, ha. Share with the person next to you, who do you think this woman is? La amante. That's what Virginia said. So when you sit down for paper 2 and they ask you, how does stagecraft had me? You're going to say, if it wasn't because of the sound of the woman laughing over Linda's lines, I would not know that him cheating on Linda haunts him. And the sound tells me that, right? So yes, he is a cheater. We'll see more on Tuesday. Have a good one.